Hey there, welcome back. You probably already know by now that for every job posting, there's about 600 applications plus, and then only a handful of those, say 4, 5, or 6, maybe 10 at the absolute most, get invited back for an interview, and only one of those gets the job offer. Those odds are incredibly depressing. But today, I'm going to help you make your LinkedIn 10 times more appealing to recruiters and hiring managers. And that's going to lead you to getting more interviews and more likely to secure the offer. I've literally spent, I counted, it's about 75 hours studying, reading, and watching LinkedIn courses, books, videos, and redesigning several hundred LinkedIn profiles to date. Now, LinkedIn has changed over the last 10 or 15 years, but it's changed for the better in many ways. I can tell you it's becoming more and more powerful. There's the power of branding, and LinkedIn is an incredible vehicle to apply your branding to and let it work for you. One client I was working with was in an awful situation. They really did not want to have a long job search. And so we developed their brand and we applied it to LinkedIn. And we let LinkedIn do the talking while we continued preparing for the job search, for interviews, etc. But before she even established her job search routine, she got an email from a company recruiter saying that she was the ideal candidate. She was exactly what they were looking for because of her brand. And yeah, that led to an offer without ever actually starting a full on job search. How was this different? It's different because words matter. Now, does this mean it's going to happen to everybody who brands themselves? Not necessarily, but I can tell you that most of the action you don't see is the action you need to consider as you're creating your branding and your marketing. It's the times when you submit an application and someone goes onto your LinkedIn, takes a quick browse to see if you're someone that they're going to want to invite back. So, why doesn't this happen to me? There's one reason, and that's that it's incredibly difficult to look at your resume from the employer's perspective. It's so hard to forget your context, forget your career history, forget all of your experience and the emotional tie you have to the work that you did. It's hard to focus only on what the employer cares about. What do they want? What do they need? What do they feel? What do they think as they're reading your LinkedIn? And what action does that lead them to take? That is a very important question. So today, I'm going to put on the employer's glasses for you so that you can see what they see and you can think of your LinkedIn profile from their perspective. We're going to focus today on headline, the banner image, the about section, and yeah, I'll cover just a little bit on your headshot. Once you're on your profile, these pieces, the headline, the banner, the about section, are the most impactful parts of your profile. This is the LinkedIn equivalent of a 6-second resume scan. But first, if you're in the US and you're about to get into a career search, I encourage you to connect with me and add a little note. I'm here for my LinkedIn review because I'll do a detailed and personalized LinkedIn video review for you so that now you can sit back and enjoy today's episode without taking notes and trying to figure out how to apply it to your own situation. Now, think about the last time that you picked up a good book. I know when I pick my next book, I read the cover and maybe the first paragraph and ask myself, is this any good? I put back 9 out of 10 books from that experience alone. But once I pick a book and I'm 5 chapters in, I'm willing to be a lot less picky. I'm invested and I want to see where this goes. That's how communication works. Are you one of the 9 profiles that got closed after a few seconds, or are you the one they're willing to continue reading and continue investing in? Your banner is the first thing we'll talk about, and it's the equivalent of the paragraph on the back of your book jacket, or maybe even the first paragraph in your chapter 1. If you have a default image, it almost instantly puts you in the category of commodity, mediocre, and uninvested. Now, I know that may have hurt a little bit if you're one of the folks who has that, blue tricolor default LinkedIn image. But the reality is that I've got to share this with you because otherwise, if you don't change it, you will continue to be viewed in the category of commodity, mediocre, and uninvested. And that's probably not true. But here's the reality. It's your banner may have the least amount of text, but it is arguably the most impactful part of your profile. This is the largest visible image and the largest opportunity to personalize on your profile without clicking read more. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Images give a feeling and an emotion, and that emotion leads to a thought. Are you fun? Are you well seasoned? Are you relatable? Or are you the high energy go getter perfect for that sales position? Use the visual space to help you to evoke a feeling of what it's like to work with you. And at the same time, you can use both the image and a few keywords, a few bits of text to call out your unique value proposition. Now, your unique value proposition we'll cover in a different episode, but basically, this is the core outcome that you bring, how you do it differently, and who you do it for. But if you don't have one yet, don't worry. We'll go ahead and use the text space in your banner to instead just call out your industry, your function, and or the core skills and keywords that point to your desired position but are still accurate about your current role. So whether or not you are intentional about creating your brand, I promise you, you still communicate something. And the default banner image says, I do the bare minimum, and I may not ever even be on LinkedIn to see a recruiter's message. Now, I don't think that's true, but the difference between intent and actual communication are two different things. You can be a rock star of a professional, but just not have time for LinkedIn because, again, you're rocking it in your day job. But we don't want to communicate that message, and a very quick change can do the trick. A few minutes of work, and you might have a banner image that says, I'm active, I know myself, and I know that I'm a good cultural fit for X type of company. That's a lot to say with just a few words, isn't it? So I encourage you to use this space, communicate at the speed of emotion. No other part of your profile will communicate information as much or as quickly as your banner does. Okay, let's move on to your headline. Once they hop onto your profile, that's when they see your banner. And now we're trying to hook them in, right? But your headline is the primary text that the hiring leader or recruiter will see when they search for a particular skill or position or industry. Here's a few don'ts, a few things we want to avoid. Don't include your company name. Why? You don't want to include your company name because this is prime advertising space. Your headline is probably the most important line of text in all of your LinkedIn profile. And if you use it to advertise for your employer, that's missed space that you could have used to advertise yourself to your next employer. You also want to avoid vague statements about saving the world or walks on the beach, and avoid anything along the lines of open to opportunities, open to my next adventure. Now, why would you not put that in your profile? It's because in the recruiter software, they're going to see engineer, customer service manager, benefits expert. And then right next to all of those highly professional titles, they'll see looking for new opportunities. What account would you click on? Now, I've heard people say, oh, well, I want someone who's, flexible and creative. So I'd click on open to new opportunities. And if the recruiter had all the time in the world, they might be willing to explore opportunities with you. But the reality is they don't have that time and they need a clear and quick yes or no to take action on. To get the yes, you need specific and concrete statements so that the employer finds exactly what they're looking for in your headline. Now, here's a couple of do's. Here's a way that you can construct your headline. Brainstorm keywords around your ideal role and a concrete and concise headline with a mix of those keywords. So, for example, you can use function. So, what do you do? Are you in operations, marketing, accounting? What's your level? Are you an intern, a specialist, a coordinator, a manager, director, a VP? What industry are you in? For many roles, industry makes a big difference because it gives you knowledge that you need to do your job well. So if you're in the automobile industry versus finance versus ed tech, you may want to include that in your headline. You can also brainstorm core skills. Ask yourself, what are the three most important skills that are at the intersection of my interests and my career history and the role I'm interested in? Finally, ask yourself if there's any keywords that we've missed. Are there any keywords that are strong signals for the role or for the type of company that you want to work for? So I'll give you a couple of examples here, and then you can create your headline kind of following these templates. Let's say you want to be an HR business partner and you're really good at building culture. You have a lot of experience in recruitment and talent acquisition, and you also have some great accomplishments in employee engagement. You can then say HR business partner, building people first culture through talent acquisition and employee engagement. What if you're in finance? It might say something like finance manager, FP&A, and strategic planning, maximizing ROI through informed decision making. Or, final example, let's say you're a mechanical engineer. It would say something like mechanical engineer, product design and process optimization, CAD and prototyping expert. You can also switch around like your level, right? So you can use words to be very concrete about what you do and who you do it for. So you've got a headline that represents who you are and what you do best. Now, let's head into your About section. This section is an introduction to your experience, but it's also a really good opportunity to provide just a little bit of personality. This section has the most flexibility out of any text based section in your entire profile. So, just like the first sentence of a good book hooks you, the first 100 to 300 characters will tell a manager or recruiter if they want or if they should click that read more button. The first 100 characters is for a phone. So if you're on a phone, you'll read about 100 characters before you run into that read more button. And on a desktop, it's about 300. So after your hook, they're going to click read more, and you want them to almost immediately see accomplishments. I personally like to do things in threes, so I always focus on three accomplishments, but by all means, you can have more. If you have a pretty direct career ladder, a pretty straight line in terms of your career history, then I would recommend considering some cumulative accomplishments. So, for example, boosted engagement by 10, 30, and 50% across three organizations via strategic talent initiatives and DEI programs. Or saved a total of $2.5 million at two Fortune 500 firms and a mid sized company through cost optimization and restructuring. So the point is that you can add some of your accomplishments. And I just would stay away from adding percentages together because that gets really wonky when you look into the math. But if it's a straightforward addition of what you've saved, cost savings and time savings and revenue generation, if it's straight addition, then you're good to use that total amount. A final example for engineering might be that you generated $12 million in revenue and launched 10 new products, driving continuous improvements. So, what you're doing here is you're basically looking across your career and saying, how can I show my life's work in a sense? All of these accomplishments tell the recruiter or the hiring leader, here's what I'm capable of. I can bring outcomes that you specifically want. So let me back up here just to make sure I didn't miss this previously. The accomplishments you put on here need to be strategically selected based on what work you want to do in the future, what job you're looking for. Ask yourself, okay, what's the one position I'm targeting? And now that I know that one position I'm targeting, what are the three outcomes that are most important for them? And how can I display those outcomes in my About section? Then, after your accomplishments, according to Omar Garrett and Jeremy Scheifling, who wrote the book Linked, you would include keywords and skills all in one quick string of keywords separated by commas. Now, this is both for search engine optimization, but it's also specifically targeted so that the recruiter can review a really quick list of key skills and then qualify you based on that. I also personally encourage you to share a little bit of personality. I think that the book Linked also mentions this, which can be either in one statement or it can be a bit of personality sprinkled throughout from the very beginning and maybe even the first line of your About section. Regardless, include a little bit of personality so that recruiters can see the person and not just the profile. Finish off your About section with contact information. You can always ask people to message you on LinkedIn, but many recruiters will only have a limited number of in-mails or premium messages and can only message professionals when they are already connected to them. So, to avoid the back and forth of connect, accept, and then message, meanwhile, someone else is already in the interview, to avoid all that, include your email address in the About section. Now, I haven't yet mentioned the headshot, so let me just give you a couple of quick tips on that. Your headshot should be your most genuine image. And if you're in the US, you should have a great big open smile and look directly at the camera. Now, if you are any one of our folks that are outside the US and your culture has a different way of working with headshots and working with photos, etc., then by all means, skip this section altogether. But if you're in the US, maybe pictures are not your strong suit, and that's okay. Here's a few tips to get an even better headshot than what you might already have. You want to take your picture in front of a plain wall, ideally with high contrast between the wall and your hair or the wall and your skin tone. And the best lighting is daylight. But if you have to use a different type of lighting, make sure that the light is at a 45-degree angle to your side, either your left or your right. I'll let you decide which is your better side. And then from there, 45-degree angle above your head. I've been told this is the most flattering angle. I've tried it and I agree. Now, if you don't have time to be messing with lights, you don't have available daylight in with the wall that you want, you can also use AI generated headshots, which some sites are getting really, really good at. But I do encourage you to make sure that it looks realistic and it doesn't actually look like AI. Your goal is to think of your headshot, your headline, your banner, and your about section as somewhat of a business card. You meet a leader at your dream company and they ask for a little bit more information to take back to the hiring team. You know they're interested. What information will make them excited to talk with you? What will make them say, man, they sound like the perfect person, both to bring the outcome and to have as part of our team? You have an amazing opportunity to be more creative, more engaging, and to communicate so much more than a resume or a default image on LinkedIn. Now you know how you can engage recruiters and hiring managers to 10x your ability to get noticed and get selected, and God willing, to get hired. However, if you capture their attention with these key areas of your LinkedIn profile and they decide to keep reading, what if your experience fails to deliver on the promise you made with that banner, the header, and the about section? This is your time. Take a quick action. Click follow at the top of this podcast show page and join me for next week. I'm going to show you exactly how to write your experience section and how to leverage your skills to give them more weight. And I'll tell you about a few other secret areas of LinkedIn that can help you to continue to stand out until your future leader finally decides they're going to give you a call for that interview. And don't forget, click on the link in the description to connect with me on LinkedIn and ask for that personalized LinkedIn review. Thanks again for sticking around. Know that we're praying for you, we're cheering you on, and we'll see you on the next one. Hey, thanks for listening. I really appreciate you spending time with me today. If you found this episode helpful, please tap the 5-star review on the show's homepage in your podcast app. It would absolutely make my day, and it helps others discover the Uncommon Career Podcast. Now, to download your free career resources and learn how I help seasoned professionals land amazing offers in as little as 90 days, click on the link in the description or go to theuncommoncareer.com. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one.